Good morning, everybody. I'd like to give you an update on where we are with Arbitrum and where we are going over the next year. We've made a huge amount of progress. We've continued to grow the community, the technology, and the team. I'll give you a report on that. And then at the end, a little bit of alpha that isn't on my slide. OK, so the story really starts with this idea that rollups are becoming central to the growth of the Ethereum community. This is the famous forum post by Vitalik talking about a rollup-centric roadmap for Ethereum. And this, in fact, proved to really have a lot of foresight, because this is the way that the community has gone, and I'm convinced the way it's going to continue to grow. Ethereum provides the stable base layer, security, and interoperability, but most of the actions happens on rollups. And so we're continuing to try to build that. OK, so obviously we're working on trying to scale Ethereum, and we think of that really in terms of three central goals. First, to have cheap, fast transactions, driving down fees as low as we can, giving a response time less than 1 second for user transactions. And the way to do that is here on the slide: no expensive cryptography, no on-chain execution, and a minimal footprint on layer 1 Ethereum. High security means our security is rooted in Ethereum, and we provide a strong security guarantee. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And then finally, drop-in compatible, to be fully EVM equivalent, to be equivalent to Ethereum, except cheaper and faster. OK, so we've built this over time. We started our initial Arbitrum 1 testnet back in October of 2020, a release candidate in March of 2021. Arbitrum 1 opened to developers in May of 2021, and at the end of August 2021, last year, we released Arbitrum 1. We opened the first Arbitrum mainnet to the public. We then worked over the next year on Arbitrum Nitro. That was our big top-to-bottom re-architecting and rebuilding of our technology. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about what that delivers. We opened the Nitro DevNet to developers, the Nitro DevNet in April of 2022. And we finally migrated the Arbitrum 1 chain from the old, what we call Arbitrum Classic stack, onto the Nitro stack on the first anniversary of launching Arbitrum 1. Delivering roughly an order of magnitude improvement in performance after 1 year. And then we also launched our Arbitrum Nova mainnet. I'll talk again in a minute about what all of this is. OK, so a lot has happened in terms of building the ecosystem. The ecosystem, of course, is required for success. It's the key to our success. We brought in DeFi blue chips. You see a bunch of them listed here. There are many more. You can go to our Arbitrum portal to see. We have many Arbitrum native applications that chose to build directly on our L2 as their first or only location. And then, of course, there is infrastructure, which is critically important for the success as well. And you see there Chainlink and others as infrastructure that is operating and available to our community. You see statistics up on the top. We have the majority of the market for Ethereum-based rollups. We've had that basically from as soon as we launched our chain and all along, and over 1 million, and now creeping up toward 1.5 million unique addresses have used the system. In addition, though, to having applications and infrastructure, it's critical to be able to onboard people to the ecosystem. And so we've built a bunch of important relationships that allow people to onboard onto the Arbitrum platform. That includes support from centralized exchanges that have direct on-ramps and off-ramps from those exchanges, decentralized bridge support through a number of bridge providers, and then direct fiat on-ramps. All of those things are critical for users to onboard users so that moving on to Arbitrum for a non-crypto native is just as easy as moving on to Ethereum or onto another chain. We've worked really hard, and I'm proud of what our partnerships team has done to make all of this possible. Let me talk now for a minute about the Nitro upgrade to Arbitrum 1, which we rolled out on August 31st, just a few weeks ago. So Nitro is our new tech. We migrated the tech stack from what we call Arbitrum Classic, which used a proprietary Arbitrum virtual machine as its platform, onto Nitro, a new version of this, which does interactive fraud proofs over WASM code. So we now use WASM, which is a standard, well-tested, and multi-platform system, as the basic virtual machine on which Arbitrum code is proven. Nitro brings advanced call data compression, which leads to a really substantial decrease in cost. It cuts the main portion of cost of using the system by around a factor of 2. And it compiles the core of Geth right into Arbitrum. And that's how we get the degree of compatibility that we have, because we use literally the same code that most Ethereum clients use, namely Geth. We did a migration of our live running Arbitrum 1 chain, including all state and contracts, over on August 31st. That was a huge milestone for us. So what does this deliver? 7 to 10x higher throughput. They tell me I'm supposed to say that. I think it's 10x. I think we added a 0 to the throughput in that year. It brings advanced call data compression and a bunch of other features. But over here on the right, you see one of the really important things, and obviously users care a lot about this, is it drives the fees down because it drives down the cost of operating the chain. We also did something else over the summer, which is we launched Arbitrum Nova, a separate chain, also on mainnet, which provides a very similar value proposition to Arbitrum 1, except that Nova is optimized for gaming and social type of applications. So let me talk a little bit about what that does. Nova has a slightly different transaction lifecycle compared to Arbitrum 1. Like on Arbitrum 1, the sequencer batches and compresses the incoming transactions, where Arbitrum 1 would take that compressed batch of call data and post it onto the L1 Ethereum chain. In Nova, it instead sends that data to a data availability committee, and that committee then provides a data availability certificate in which a quorum of the committee promises to provide availability of that data to anyone who asks for a period of time. The sequencer gets that data availability certificate, and then it posts that certificate on Ethereum as proof that that data is available. If it can't get or doesn't like or can't validate a data availability certificate, it just goes ahead and posts the data on Ethereum anyway. So progress keeps going. But in the common case, you no longer have to post call data on L1, and that eliminates the main source of cost in operating an Arbitrum chain. OK, so you're relying on that data availability committee. Well, who are the members of that committee? Here's the initial committee members: Reddit, Consensus, QuickNode, FTX, P2P, Google Cloud, and us at Offchain Labs. So unless you believe that all but one of those parties will conspire against you, then you can trust that the Nova chain will operate securely. That is the difference in security model, just that you have to trust that at least 2 of these entities are honest. We'll be growing that committee over time. OK, so I want to talk as well about what Reddit has done. Reddit, as you may have heard, ran a scaling competition, layer 2 scaling competition, that they launched in 2021 to pick a platform on which to deploy their community points system in a tokenized version. We won that competition, Arbitrum did. So Reddit's community points system now lives on the Arbitrum Nova chain. This is live today. There are 2 Reddit communities currently live, and we expect that to grow by a large factor in the future. So about 250,000 Reddit accounts were migrated on-chain, and the cost of that migration to Reddit was about $1,700 total. That's the kind of fee reduction that Nova can give you, populating 252,000 wallets at a cost of $1,700. The community points are live in 2 subreddits. And the Reddit community, of course, overall has about 400 million users per month. And we're looking forward to Reddit continuing to grow that footprint on the Nova chain. Nova gives big gas savings. Arbitrum 1 already reduced the gas cost of many transactions, typically by about 97% over layer 1. Arbitrum Nova reduces this even further, typically by roughly a factor of 3, compared even to Arbitrum 1. Call data is posted to the Data Availability Committee, of course, as I said before. So to give you an example of what the fees were during our launch week, and actually still are today, an ETH transfer would cost less than 1 cent US. An ERC20 swap would cost about 2 cents US. And that's what we're talking about. And we're going to continue to drive this down as we continue to build out our technology. The fact that we're not so dependent on the use of L1 call data also means that the price is much more stable and less sensitive to L1 gas price spikes. So Nova provides a lot of advantages, and we're really excited about some of the integrations that are coming on Nova. OK, so who is Nova for? It's optimized really for, we think, for game developers, for social projects, and for dApps that need really high throughput without having prohibitive fees. So if you have an application that has a lot of activity, but but need to have a very low cost per transaction, Nova is probably for you. OK, so now let me talk about where we're going, and this stuff is not on the slides. We're really focusing over the next year on a couple of things. Number one is continuing to drive throughput and cost, throughput up and cost down. There's some really exciting things we have in the pipeline that you'll be hearing about over the coming months to do that, to give you another zero of performance over the next year. Second is decentralization. And you'll be hearing more from us about decentralization over the next few weeks and months. But let me talk about a few things that we're doing. One is to decentralize the process of managing and approving software upgrades. And what that means is migrating the approval of upgrades to a multi-sig that is controlled by trusted members of the community, so that there's no one organization or small group of organizations that can deploy an upgrade or software change onto the network. We're in the process of doing that. You'll be hearing more about that soon. Second is to decentralize the role of validator on the Arbitrum system. This is underway. We have multiple validators who are operating today, and we'll be talking more about that going forward as well. And just a reminder that the role of validators in the Arbitrum protocol is such that any one honest validator can guarantee both safety and progress on the chain. So we'll be talking more about who they are and how we'll be growing that over time. And the third thing is working toward decentralizing the only remaining thing I haven't talked about that is still centralized, and that is the sequencer. Fair sequencing is important to us. It's an important part of our model. And we're committed to moving to a decentralized fair sequencing system. We're looking very closely at what our options are there. We've looked very closely, and we've had extensive conversations with the Chainlink team about what they're building. We're really excited about what they're doing. And we're moving toward making a decision about exactly how we're going to proceed in that direction. But that's an important part of what we're doing as well. As I said, you'll be hearing more from us about the process of decentralization over the coming weeks and months. Now, the success of what we've done so far and the success of what we're going to do in the future depends on three main things. First, on the team that we've built. We have, I think, the best team in crypto. I hear a lot of people say it. I certainly say it all the time. Second, on the technology that we've delivered to our users and to our community. Everything that I've described today, I'm not talking about future technology. I'm not talking about, well, we deployed something and we'll add the security later. Everything that I've talked about today, we have delivered. It is live on mainnet, complete and integrated. And that's really important, the technology. But third and most important leg or pillar of this success is the community. The community of users, the community of app developers and infrastructure providers, and all of the partnerships that we've built across the sector. The community is critical to our success. As we talk about decentralization, we're talking about bringing the community into a larger role in how we operate, and that is critical to our success. We look forward to working with our community, with you over the coming year to generate further success and progress. Thank you very much.